You know, a moment ago I talked about disrespectful, power-based behaviors like harassment and bullying. And I always frame them that way because our ability to engage in disrespect at work, how we respond to disrespect at work, is directly related to the dynamic of power. And you know, power is not something we spend a lot of time talking about or thinking about. And yet it's a dynamic in every relationship that we have. So as we start to think about this topic and how do we create respect in a workplace, we really need to start thinking about power and how we express or manifest that power. And in a respectful environment, what that means is that we manifest and express our power respectfully. And what that means is that we work to empower and to support the success not only of ourselves, but of others that we're working with. And I know when I go to the library, I tend always to go to where the staff picks are. And the books are out there, and you know, you look at the books, and if the cover looks good, if the cover appeals to you, you make I make an assumption on the basis of the cover, a judgment about whether or not this is a book I'm going to like or whether it's a book that's going to appeal to me. And books that I don't like the cover, you know, I just go right by. I don't even bother to look at them. And you know, the thing is that because of that judgment, that assumption that we make on the basis of the cover, we might miss the greatest story we will ever have read. Something that could impact our lives and change us, put us on a different course, hugely impactful. But we're prevented because of an assumption, a judgment we make on the basis of what we see on the outside. And you know, in my experience, it's not just books that we judge by their covers. How often do we judge people by their covers? Their personal characteristics, the one I mentioned earlier, their gender, their ethnicity, their religion, their race, their sexual orientation, their abilities or disabilities. And what assumptions do we make as a result of that cover? How do those assumptions contribute to our beliefs? And how do those beliefs influence our actions? And how do those actions collectively create our workplace norms, what we do in the workplace, what it's like to work around here? Thing I think, you know, that we all know to be true is that women support other women at work, right? No, I saw immediately a shaking head there. And this is a myth that I really wish was a fact. And I think many of us do. But I can tell you the work that I do, particularly around workplace bullying, if we look at the statistics around workplace bullying, 75 to 80% of those on the receiving end of those complaints are women. And if we look at who targets those women, well, it's men and women. But men tend to be sort of equal opportunity bulliers. They pick on men, they pick on women. But women, if they're going to bully, inevitably, they pick on women. So this myth of sisterhood that we have that's out there is not serving us. And you know, I think one of the reasons that happens so often goes back to what I mentioned earlier, and it has to do with our relationship to power. You know, last June I spoke at the Wealth Academy for Women, and I did the closing keynote, and my topic was women in power. So of course I Googled women in power, and here's the first quote that came up. Powerful women are either sexually voracious rulers like Catherine the Great or Elizabeth I, or treacherous bitches like Cleopatra or Helen of Troy. Now come on, ladies, and our other non-ladies that are here. Doesn't that just make you want to stand up and say, I am powerful. I will step into my power, because every day I wake up and think, I want to be a sexually voracious, treacherous bitch. Right? But these myths, beliefs are out there. So when we're raised to believe that we should be sugar and spice and everything nice, or else we're going to be sexually voracious, treacherous bitches, that really doesn't allow us to form a healthy relationship with power. And what happens is, because all of us are incredibly powerful, this is something I believe to be true, if we're worried and fearful to express that power or don't know how to express it, That creates internal conflict. It turns inside. It turns toxic. And often what happens is that toxicity, that frustration, covertly expresses itself as disrespectful, power-based behavior like bullying. More powerful than you were when you walked in, because you're going to have increased one very important source of your power of knowledge. But like any other source of power, it's what you choose to do with that power, how you choose to use it, that will determine whether or not this was a good investment of your time, whether or not you choose to speak up, to say something, to start a conversation about respect. That will determine whether or not you see change in your workplace. And I know you're thinking, well, but I'm only one little person. What can I possibly do? As I said earlier, all of us have great possibility and potential. We, each and every one of us, have the ability. Change always starts with one person making a decision that something isn't working. As Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small, thoughtful, committed group of citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. I know the change that I want to see in the world. I want to see that notion in the Universal Declaration become the norm. I want my daughter and her children to grow up in a world where every person is treated with respect and dignity. What about you? Thank you so much.